Hello and welcome. I just want to quickly apologize for having to cancel class earlier today. I was not expecting there to be only 30 seats for the 34 students that are signed up for the class. I know that there were at least a couple students that were signing in through Zoom, but I didn't want a chance that the other two students were either not going to show up or join later. So I decided to just make the safe call and cancel the class. So what I plan on doing is just going through the syllabus as well as MyMathLab and a few other things about the class. And that way on Friday we can start with lecture. And I will mention too that if you have any questions, feel free to email me, or you can always, excuse me, you can also ask me questions in the next class or two about it. Okay. So first thing I did is I went ahead and logged into D2L and I went ahead and selected our class. So you'll see that I may have I changed a couple of things since class. I uploaded our handouts. So I'll just show you that real quick. There's 3 different handouts for units 1, 2, and 3. I'll just go ahead and click on unit 1. This is stored in Dropbox, so you can go ahead and download or print this off if you like. I would recommend doing this before our class on Fridays since I will use this for lecture. So one of the things that I basically do here is I will either have some kind of explanation at the beginning or go over a couple terms, and then I'll either have some formulas or some examples or even just some exercise problems. Now this looks like an assignment, but I promise it's not. So the idea is I'll kind of just go through each of these examples, kind of explain how the formula works. And like in this case, I'll do some of these examples. I probably won't do all of them. These just use the formulas that were on the previous page and so on. So this is basically what I'll be using on my computer, and I'll have this displayed both on the projector as well as in Zoom. So the idea is that if you're at home or if in the classroom, you can follow along. I'll basically end up using OneNote to allow me to write inside the PDF and erase stuff and do whatever. So that's basically where I will be editing my PDF to write down in all my steps and solve problems. Okay. And I do plan on recording my lectures. I imagine that there will probably be some technical difficulties doing that in some days. So if it fails to record for whatever reason, I will do my best to try and go home like I am right now and try and record it at home so that you have a similar experience to what you should have had in class for those people that were not able to make it to either class or Zoom. Okay, so enough with that. Let's talk about MyMathLab. So in this class, all of your homework, quizzes, and the exams will be taking place in another website through Pearson. So this is called MyMathLab. And in order to set this up, you will have to basically make your own MyMathLab account. And I'll guide you through those steps right now. I do want to mention, since you are doing this at home or in your apartment, you want to make sure that if you are using a friend's computer or laptop, that you make sure that they are signed out of their Pearson account. If they are signed in while you complete these steps, it will link your D2L to their MyMathLab account. I've had this happen last year, and it was a good 3 weeks or so before we got that fixed. So please don't do that. If you have your own MyMathLab account logged in, that's fine. If you don't have one, that's fine. So let's go ahead and just get into it. So I'm going to click on MyMathLab, and it may show up like this, or you may have something that looks like, this. So basically you want to find wherever it says Vital Source Bookshelf -BHSU. You want to click either that link, or you want to click this, which says to open a new window. And this will be where you can either launch the MyMathLab account once you have it set up, or you can click on this to access the textbook. So to do this, I'm going to go ahead and click Launch Courseware. And in my case, I don't remember exactly what this does. Yeah, it'll bring this menu. in your case, before you get to launch courseware, you might have like a little window instead. I don't remember if it's going to be set up that way in your case. You just simply need to drag that sidebar down so you can click on launch courseware. I don't remember if this step happens. So it'll either take you to that screen that I had, or yeah, actually I believe it does. So in my case, if I click on this, I already have it set up. It'll take me straight to the MyMathLab course. In your case, when you click on that, it should take you to a license agreement page. You want to click on I accept. And from there, you can either log in with a Pearson account that you already have set up, either from another college class or high school, or if you prefer to just create an account, you can do that. I don't have a screenshot of the next page, but the next web page will be where it asks you for what your username is, your email that you want to link up to it. You can use your personal email if you want. You do not have to use your BHSU Yellow Jackets email. It'll ask for your security questions that you want in case you forget your password. One thing I will point out though is that if you if you do not type in your email correctly, there's not really a way that you can, I shouldn't say there isn't a way to fix this, but it's very difficult to fix it. So make sure you do double check that you spell or write your email correctly. Especially if you use the Yellow Jackets email, you want to make sure you put the S at the end of Yellow Jackets, and make sure that everything else is there as well. Okay. So after linking it, you should have a page that looks like this. I have had issues in the past where Pearson gets overwhelmed with all the people trying to make their accounts at the same time. So if it doesn't work right away, I would just be patient. If it takes more than 30 minutes or an hour, send me an email and I will see if I can do something about it. Usually that means I'd have to, at the very least, I can change the due dates to give you more time so you can get this set up. But from what I've heard so far today, no one's really had a problem with this. So hopefully, fingers crossed, you guys won't have a problem when you watch this video. After you get all that set up, I'm just going to click this button and it'll take me straight to MyMathLab. Now, this is one of two ways you can actually access this course. The other way, once you have your account made and your D2L linked to the Pearson account, is that you can also search for MyMathLab and click the first link. And from there, you can just click on the sign in button. And then you can just simply type in your username and password that you had set up, and it will show at least the college algebra class that we have here. As of this recording on 5:45, looks like 2 of you have figured it out yourselves, so good for you. Hopefully there wasn't too many problems with that. So when you click on this, it will take you straight to what I have in this tab. So what you'll start noticing is that you'll see this calendar, and you'll see that there's clocks on each of these different days. That basically means that there's at least one assignment or quiz due on that day. So the first assignment, graded assignment that's due, is due next Wednesday. And that will be based off of the lecture that I have on Friday and possibly part of Monday. It's kind of a longer section, so it'll probably take me a couple days to go through it. So let me just kind of go ahead and show you what it looks like. So these are all the different questions. I kind of did one earlier just to make sure things were working. So with the homework, they are due at a particular day. So again, this one's due on Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. So if there is a question or a few questions that you complete after the due date, this will take 10% off of those completed after the due date. This does not mean that it will take 10% off of the entire assignment unless you waited and did the entire assignment after the due date. In which case you'd have up to a 90% if you completed the entire assignment. Let's say I did all these questions except for the last 2, so that would take me to a 90%. And let's say after the due date, I went ahead and completed the last 2 questions because I'd asked the professor for help. That would mean that I'd only get 10% off of the credit for these 2. So even if you were to complete all the assignment, or if you were to complete the entire assignment after the due date, the worst you can get is a 90%, assuming that you do all the questions and get as much credit, the full credit for getting them correct. Okay, let's go ahead and just click on this first question. You'll notice that I have a green check mark on it. That means I did get it correct. I believe it'll probably warn me that I don't have to do this, but I can click on a similar question. Okay, I guess it doesn't warn me. But it wants me to use the 0 exponent rule to simplify the following expression. Let's say I don't remember how to do that, and the answer is -5. No, tells me that some kind of a hint as to how to try and solve it. But let's say that I'm really stubborn. I'm pretty sure it's -5, and this computer's stupid. No, it tells me that you're stupid, and the correct answer is 1. No, it doesn't actually call you stupid. It will kindly tell you that that's the correct answer, and it will tell you what the last answer that you typed in was. It will not show you what all 3 of your attempts were, just the last one. So in this case, I went ahead and tried doing a problem that was 100% completed. I could keep that score, or I can keep the new score. Obviously, want to keep the best score. So let me, and it will show you in that case, there was a red triangle. Let me do this next example so I can show you. So this is what, 25? Nope. I'm pretty sure it's 25. Okay, so what I can do is if I was to close out, it will show me this little red triangle. If I click on it, it'll tell me what my last answer was. Okay, and it'll display the correct answer. And in this case, the reason it was -25 is because the negative is not inside the parentheses. So you do not square the negative in this case. Now, I can do a couple different things with this. I can click on a similar question. That would show me another almost identical problem, but with different numbers. I can click on help me solve this. So it'll actually help me solve this particular example. So what's the base? I'm going to type in 8. That should be the correct answer. And what's the exponent? I believe that is a 2. And then it says note that the negative sign is not part of the base. So in other words, you do not square the negative. So now it just says what's negative 8 times 8. So that's -64. Done. Close, and then it will give you another chance to do the problem. Now, you may have some cases like this, for example, where you have already seen the example and you probably wrote down what the answer was. And if that happens, well, good for you. Another tool that you can use is you can use the Ask My Instructor. So let's say, for example, I do not know how to deal with 8 to the -7th power in this expression. So I can do something like help, don't know what I'm doing, SOS, hashtag COVID-19, hashtag college algebra 2020. And I think it's pretty clear as to what they need help with. So click on send, and it will send it directly to me. And my phone will probably vibrate off screen here. So what this does, as it just vibrated, what this does is it will not only send me exactly the message that you just typed, but it will also show me how far you made it through the problem and where you're currently at with the exact numbers that you have. This tends to work better than if you take a screenshot of this and try and email me the screenshot. You could do that, but it's a little bit harder than to just use the help me solve this. And of course, I'll try and respond to your email as soon as I can. So otherwise, there are a few other tools. There's the textbook. This will show you exactly where the problem is at, or where to kind of read through the textbook that would help you with this problem. This is one of a couple ways of accessing the textbook. So here it took me to the beginning of the section, and I'll have to read through the whole section to figure out what part would actually help me in this case. It's always a good idea to just click on save, and that will close it out and make sure it saves your progress. If there was a question that has multiple parts, I don't know if we have one anytime soon. So in this case, I got part of the question right, but part of it was not correct. And you'll see that this is a green check mark with a red X underneath. So that basically means that you got at least one part of it correct and at least one part incorrect. And if you want full credit, you'll need to go through the whole thing again. Let me go ahead and click on leave. In this case, it did save my attempt on it. I got half of it right, half of it wrong, so I only got 50 points, or 0.5 points on it. Okay. On each of these questions, you have an infinite number of attempts on each problem. So I can do this problem over and over and over and over and over again until I get all of it correct. Hopefully by, say, like the 10th or 20th attempt, if you're still struggling, you should probably go ask for help either from your professor or myself, or going to the Math Assistance Center. Okay, moving along. I don't actually have anything in this right now. I did post a syllabus in D2L, which I'll be showing off here in a moment. Course Home, I don't think really has a whole lot that's useful. Your homework you can find here. You can also find quizzes and exams here as well. Quizzes work a little bit differently. Those, you have to do the entire quiz, and you have basically 5 attempts or 5 quizzes that you can take for each one of these. And so with these, if you do a quiz attempt after the due date, it will, on that next attempt, it will take 10% off of that. So if you do a quiz after the due date, the best you can do is, in fact, 90%. Okay. You can also see that with each of these quizzes, there's about 2 or 3 per quiz. Or sorry, there's 2 or 3 homeworks that they each cover. You will not see, if I click on this, for example, you will not see any of the helpful features in this. So you won't be able to do help me solve this, and you won't be able to ask your instructor on it. That type of thing. You can still email me with one of the other apps on how to do this, but you will not be able to actually email me that exact problem that you are working on. Otherwise, you will eventually see the Unit 1, 2, and 3 exams show up in here. This practice test I will need to fix because I do want it to show up in what's called a lockdown browser. I'll talk to you more about that later, but that it's a special software that you have to install separately that allows you to basically close out all the other programs that you have running on your computer, and the only thing that it will display is the exam. You can't back out of it. And so the idea is I would have you, for the exam, use the lockdown browser and have you on Zoom with your phone, so that way I can see what's on your desk and make sure that you're not using notes or anything like that, and that you're taking the exam by yourself. Okay. So again, the exams are online. They're not here yet because we haven't made them yet, but they will be up probably about a week or so before the actual exam will take place. And we'll talk more about when to take the exam. It will not occur during our class because you're going to need, I'm guessing it's going to be about 2 hours to do the exam. There are a few other things on here. There is the e-text and the chapter contents. I tried using e-text earlier today and it was not working correctly. This is one other way you can get to your textbook. I'm going to show you the chapter contents. So the first lecture I'm going to go through is in chapter P, section 2. I'm going to click on e-text, and this will take you directly to that chapter in the textbook. And so you can scroll up and down. you can use some of the options here. Oh yeah, you can search for specific things. There's a few other tools you can use. So you can press the left and right buttons to advance to the next page, and so on. One other thing you'll see is that you will see the gradebook. So I'll tell you right now, I am flunking. I'm joking on that, but basically what happens is that anytime you start an assignment, it will automatically give that assignment a grade of 0%. And as you progress through the homework assignment, it will bump that grade up. So what's going to happen is in the first couple of weeks, and I would even say up to the first exam, you're going to notice your grade drops up and down, especially if you don't finish an assignment in a day. And that's because it's assuming that since you didn't finish this, that is your current score. So that's why my grade is as low as it is. Yeah, I think that's about everything that I want to show off in my math lab. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and go through the syllabus. So again, I would make sure that you do print off or download Unit 1. So if you prefer printing this off and then writing on it on the piece of paper, I would definitely make sure you try and do that before Friday's class. Otherwise, if you happen to have a stylus and either a tablet or a laptop that has a touchscreen on it, you can use that instead. Whatever your preference is, make sure you have Unit 1's handout ready. Probably only need first few pages if you're trying to save paper for the moment. Yeah, I would just make sure you have the first 4 pages. But if you want to print off the whole thing, that's fine too. So here I have the syllabus. I believe some of you were able to find the Zoom link, probably because I either emailed it to you or you had found it here. But I will be using this Zoom link for all of my lectures, so if you do not feel comfortable going face-to-face in the class, you can just simply click on this link and use that instead. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the syllabus. Actually, right before I do that, I do have my office hours. I'm sure most professors probably have their office hours on Zoom from whatever time of the day. I decided, since I am the Math Assistant Center director, that I will end up using that I will instead be in the Math Assistant Center for my office hours, and so they are Monday through Thursday from 1 to 2 o'clock. If for whatever reason you cannot make it to that time, please let me know, or if you prefer to actually have it on Zoom, let me know, and I can work out a time to meet through that instead. Best way to get a hold of me is through my email. I list my email here, even though you can find it like in a couple places. A lot of people tend to misspell my name, so a lot of people tend to get the R and the E mixed up, or they get the last name wrong by adding an S on it. So just be careful when you type my email. Okay, now for the syllabus. This is a Word document that I will just download. And I did not put my office hours in here. I just didn't get a chance to do that. And also, classroom's gonna be wrong, obviously. So we will be in 306 this time. At least as of this recording, it's 306. So these are just some important dates as far as when you can drop without showing a transcript, or we can drop without with just a W instead of a grade. I already talked about homework, already talked about quizzes. We will be using calculators in the class. This is mostly just to make it easier for you to do some of the more complicated math, like 2 to the 7th power, for example. I don't expect you to do that by hand or in your head. You can definitely use a calculator for that. Any scientific or graphing calculator will work. We do rent out graphing calculators in the Math Assistant Center. This is part of Math Club's fundraiser so that they can raise money so they can go to math conferences. Anyways, this briefly goes over the textbook. And then, yeah. Exams. There are 3 exams. With those 3 exams, they're all just like Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. The final is just the Unit 3 exam. It is not cumulative, and that will happen online during the final exam period. As I mentioned earlier, the attendance is not required, but for me to be able to figure out who's tested positive for COVID, I'm going to try and take attendance every day. And what's going to be unusual this semester is that they want us to also keep track of where you are sitting. So that way, if, let's say, your neighbor is sick with COVID, I can warn the people that's sitting around that neighbor that they need to also get tested. It's kind of weird that they don't just report it or tell the entire class to get tested, just the people sitting next to them. That is our current regulations. So I will probably spend a few minutes at the beginning of each class trying to figure out who's sitting where, and hopefully I'll have a good setup for how I do that in the future. Obviously, you guys are wearing masks, so I don't think you necessarily need to go through everything here. The cheating policy. There's 2 paragraphs, and I'm just going to sum this up in one sentence. Don't cheat. A lot simpler if you just don't cheat. I know it's going to be tempting to, especially with the online homework where you can use websites like Mathway or Wolfram Alpha, where you can just type in the problem and it will spit out the solution. I know it's super tempting to do that because it might be easier to do that than to learn it, but that's not going to help you on the test. So again, I would avoid using websites to solve the problems for you. Instead, I would either recommend asking myself for help or anyone in the Math Assistant Center for help as well. There is the accessibility statement. So if you need any kind of accommodations, definitely talk to Jennifer. She's really nice to work with. I've worked with her helping students out before in the past. Otherwise, I can just let you guys read the rest of this. This just kind of goes over the different topics we're going to look at, as well as our schedule as of now. Again, something could probably go wrong with this. I'm not sure what will happen in the next couple of weeks, especially with COVID. Thank you for listening to all of that rambling. So thank you for listening to me rambling, and I will hopefully see you guys either in Zoom or in face-to-face on Friday. So take care. And again, I'm sorry that you had to watch this through this video instead of actually being able to see it in person.